I think there was a lot of barriers throughout my life. I can say, as I mentioned, most of my parents were born and raised in Mexico. Their first language, well, their only language I can say, is Spanish. So I grew up as only one of my parents being legalized here in the United States. One of my parents had to cross the border illegally for a better future. So I could say, fortunately, my dad crossed the river by himself. He was able to make it over here. And so basically, those are, okay. So my dad crossed the river to give us a better future, And those are the things I keep in my heart forever. I remember my mom having to work because she was the only one legalized to work here in this country, and my dad had to stay in the house to take care of him. And it was like for years. I remember having to not being raised fully by my mom. Um, Also, like when I entered middle elementary, I'm sorry, I remember I didn't know how to speak Spanish, I mean English. And I remember everybody would sing Christmas songs and I would try to sing it, and everybody would make fun of my accent. Like, you could tell I have a strong accent. And that would make me very sad. But there's things like my dad, I'm like thinking like, wow, my dad crossed the river to give me a better future. Like, why am I gonna let like some words hurt me, especially when I know they don't mean it, maybe in the bad way. But those are some barriers. I remember having to take exams in English, and then my mom, like, she's like, how am I supposed to help my student learn when I don't even know this? So I remember my mom would like get in contact with people who knew, or like my cousins, for example, and she would ask, oh, how do you say this word? Let's say it was um, cat, right? And they'll be like cat, and she would try to write it with like at, like in Spanish. So when I would take the test, it was easier for me to just say it in Spanish, but it was in English. Also, some of the other barriers I can say is when I was in high school, I didn't know what FAFSA was. I didn't know how to apply to a university. I didn't know how to do all these things that were just like, here, this is all you have to do. You know, I remember asking my mom, like, how do I do this? And she's like, ay, mija, no sé. Like, I don't know. Like, she wishes she could help me in all this stuff, but I know she couldn't. And then that's something that I'm very, very, very grateful for, that I think everything has a purpose, and the purpose of them not being to help me made me to become so independent. Thankfully, I never let that happen to my siblings. I'm like, I did this all by myself, but here's everything you need to know. Become better than me, if you can. Um, so also, like, my language, it was such a bad thing for me. I remember everybody would make fun of because of my accent, or everybody would make fun of because in the classrooms they would ask, oh, who needs to translate? And it was just my parents that needed to translate. And those are the little things that made me feel not included in the classroom. And that's something I want to do when I become a teacher. I want to have everybody, like, I want to have a classroom that's very inclusive, regardless of where you come from, regardless of your background, whether you have it all, whether you don't have it. It's something that, the moment you step in the classroom, we're all equal. And so those are the things that I have that made it difficult for me, but I am very thankful for. I think it has shaped me to the person I am today. Um, and even today, like, I feel maybe my parents are not as close to me, but they never failed to ask me how was school, or how was your day. And I think they wish they could be closer to me, but because of certain ways, like my dad grew up, he's the way he is. And I understand. Something I say is, maybe my parents, or specifically my dad, doesn't show the love as to like dad to child, as everyone knows it as. But I know, like, him waking up at 5 a.m. to go work is the way he shows me love. So those are some barriers, some of many that I can think of, that has made me the way I am, and have guide me to the place I am today, and I'm very, very thankful for. And those are the things I wouldn't change for anything. I love that I didn't have it easy. I love that we had to rely on government assistance for all the things. Those are the things I'm like, oh, I remember, this is a funny story. I used to work at a fast food restaurant, and I remember how bad they used to treat me, like, and I would think, like, oh my God, like, my parents are right. Like, I think this is what my mom went through for so many years. And I'm like, this is the reason why I need to go to school. This is the reason why I need to get educated, to get all the certifications I can, to take all the opportunities I can. Because like my mom says, education will never wake up and leave you in the morning. Like you're not gonna wake up and the education's gonna leave. That's something you will hold forever. And yeah, like all these barriers, I think of it more as an opportunity to grow. To become the best person I can be.